Every movie has random trivia. And here at Trivial Theater, I explore some of these movies and the random circumstances that make them the weird creations that we love. So this week's movie has a title that feels a little redundant. I think the writer was laying down on the job? Okay, I'll get on with it. This is Deathbed, the bed that eats. So right there is basically the plot of this movie. It's a fancy bed that eats you to death. Okay, that's far too simplistic. Let me give it another try. We start with a black screen in what I can assume is an ASMR lover's wet dream. Frankly, the sound design in this movie is cranked to 11. Anyway, after a graphic that just says breakfast, we find a dude in the wall expositing on the crazy uncomfortable bed that looks like it belongs in a high school production of Hamlet. Cut to a set of young lovers who have traveled a long way for Nookie. I sure hope they don't get dissolved by a sentient bed. The bed enjoys an amuse-bouche, while the couple jumps right to dessert. And when they stop to grab a mid-makeout snack, they find the food is gone.
Why, I must have made a mistake.
Side note, that look on her face tells me she's probably faking those dubbed moans. After ignoring more obvious clues that this isn't what it seems, the bed tucks into its main course and kindly cleans up afterwards. 10 minutes in and we finally get the title and weird offset credits. A trend that sadly never caught on. Guy in the wall exposits more about the history of the bed, using redacted newspapers to back up his points, of which I'm still not 100% clear on. Back in modern times, we get a statue's head with barbecue sauce on its eye, and a graphic that informs us of lunch. A trio of ladies, Diane, Sharon, and Susan, show up for what I guess is supposed to be a girls' weekend, even though Susan knows, through handy voiceover, that her companions hate her. She mopes a bit, has an incredible surrealistic dream, and then gets undressed by the pervy bed. After some not so very subtle symbolism, she gets dissolved by yellow foam into the bed, and for some reason her skull still bleeds and then appears outside with roses growing out of it. We get random nature shots, more exposition on the bed's former partners / meals, and a weird product placement scene centered around the bed getting indigestion after eating an orgy. And no, that's not a metaphor. Finally, at 42 minutes in, we finally get the backstory of the bed and the dude in the wall. It's a classic tale of a demon with freaky eyes who has sex with a girl but accidentally kills her. Some of her blood drops on the bed, giving it life and damn near unstoppable, yet weirdly convenient powers. For some reason, Sharon causes the bed to bleed, and the guy in the wall discovers that she has a connection to the girl whose blood gave the bed life. Diane falls asleep in the bed while smoking, and the bed tries to eat her. What follows can only be described as padding, because this scene goes on for a very long 5 minutes. But we do learn that she has a damn good army crawl. Sharon stumbles upon this and doesn't react, and then her brother shows up and loses his hands, but doesn't react either. Must be a family trait? Anyway, Guy in the Wall tells Sharon how to destroy the bed, which involves a ritual that ultimately kills her too. In the end, a naked half-dead girl couples with her modern lookalike's brother who has lacking hands inside of a burning wood circle, destroying a demonically possessed bed that she helped to create. Because of this incredibly run-on sentence, the bed goes up in flames, the Guy in the Wall is released, and everybody dies. Or something. So I've picked up some important lessons from this movie. After too much wine, it's important to get the keys from the bed. You don't want them drunk driving. Apparently not reacting to your hands being reduced to bone helps stop the pain. And you should not depend on flip-flops for traction when trying to save your friend from a sentient bed. So the story behind Deathbed is pretty interesting, maybe more so than the movie itself. In 1977, writer, director, producer George Barry tried and failed to get a theatrical release for his film. Later, he received an offer from a distributor to release the VHS version of the movie in the UK. This fell through, but it didn't stop a bootleg copy from being circulated. It was passed from the UK to Australia, New Zealand, and Spain, along the way gathering a dedicated underground fan base. Barry was unaware of this until 2001 when he discovered a forum discussing it. He decided to release it again, and in 2003 it received an official release through the San Francisco Indie Fest. Since then it's been released on DVD and Blu-ray. Deathbed's incredibly bizarre tone was said to be inspired in a dream by director George Barry. Honestly, I'm just a little curious as to what brought on that dream. The surrealistic horror classification definitely hits in the shit ton of random imagery this movie offers. Some of it follows the plot, other stuff just feels like it was put there to be artsy. Speaking of plot, I had to watch this one a couple of times to understand what the ever-loving fuck was going on. I damn near ended up setting up flowcharts to make sure I wasn't missing anything deep. And then in the end, I realized there wasn't anything deep to miss. There is an interesting use of labeling each section as a meal, and calling the last one just desserts was a fitting close for the story. The whole thing felt like they took the script, threw it up in the air, and then just went with whatever order the pages landed in. The weirdness of the plot is equaled only by the use of voiceover. I can't tell you how much that makes me laugh. The only character that has consistent spoken audio is Sharon's brother, who appears in this movie the least. The simultaneously most cringy scene and funniest for me was also thanks to Sharon's brother when he loses his hands. The fact that he really doesn't react to the flesh being peeled from his bones, and then just sits there with these skeleton hands scientifically analyzing what happened, is both fucking fantastic and fucking frustrating. So in attempting to review this one, I find myself at a bit of a loss. Deathbed is a low-budget cult classic, kept alive through a series of crazy circumstances not terribly different than Manos: The Hands of Fate. That in itself is worthy of praise because if the right person hadn't stumbled upon it, it probably would have fallen into oblivion like so many others. I can't say I'll be revisiting this one anytime soon, although there were moments where I did spontaneously break out in laughter. And that right there is one reason that can make a really good bad movie. I can tell you it's at least worth one watch based on that alone, and I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. Many thanks to Ryan at the Coolness Chronicles for the recommendation. So what do you think? Suggestions for movies, trivial questions, comments, ratings, and any suggestions for keeping bone fingers from falling apart would be appreciated. Thank you so very much for watching.